Hello and welcome back to Exploring Multimedia Art with Pd-L2Ork. I'm Dr. Lawrence W. Moore and I'm your host. It's been a couple weeks since I've been able to make a video. I was affected by Hurricane Idalia. Basically, the house is fine. My wife and I are fine. A bunch of tree limbs came down and a tree did come down on our car. But we got to consider ourselves lucky in that we have our health and that we have our house. We didn't have power for like 10 days, and the power's still not stable. I think it's been, like 17 days since the hurricane. And, for the last week, we've basically been having intermittent power where it goes out largely during the day and it comes back on at night. It's night right now, but it hasn't come back on yet. So I'm doing this on generator. Going to keep this a little bit more brief than usual, but I want to keep going because I want to keep the channel growing and I want to keep the series going so we can explore more multimedia art as well as synthesis in my other series. So anyway, this week we're going to make a Theremin that can be controlled by your web camera using the Pix video object in Gem, the external for Pd-L2Ork that we've been using for the past few weeks. So let's have a little bit of fun. Okay, so we're starting off with the patch, largely made. A note for my students, please don't just try to pause the screen, copy it all down, and then submit the assignment without watching and listening to me in the video, because there will be some changes to this, and I really want you to learn this. It's a really cool and useful thing that you can do with Gem. And it shouldn't be a very long video. Like I said, I'm on generator power, and I'm going to keep it brief. So let me give you a tour of the patch. Right here, we have the Gem win with the create and destroy messages that we've been using the past few weeks. I basically just made a new patch window and copied this in. So, and it's got the toggle box so I could turn things on and off on the fly. You're accustomed to this if you've been following this series. If not, watch a few episodes back and see how we've been working with Gem. If you have not set up Gem as a library that loads on startup of Pd-L2Ork, you will need an object up here that is declare -lib gem, capital G, lowercase em, and you will need that before you can make the rest of these objects. But if you do have it loaded on startup, I've explained that a couple weeks ago in our first Gem episode in this series. Basically, you can set up this library or other libraries to load on startup, but it doesn't do that automatically unless you set it up to do that. And since I have that set up, I don't need this object, but you will if you didn't set that up. So anyway, going on, another easy thing, a load bang going into a PD-DSP1 message that turns on audio. So anyway, it starts here with gem head. All objects that you make in the Gem external needs to have a gem head at the top. Gem head goes into Pix video, Pix_video. This is the object that opens up access from your web camera. Now, if you have multiple web cameras, you can send a message, device, and then a number, starting with 0 for the first web camera, one for the second one, and so on, depending on how many you have. And then you send that message in. I actually have two web cameras, the one that you see at the beginning of my shows where I'm at my computer and you're seeing me from the back of the room. And then I have one on top of the monitor here that I'm going to be using today. Now, what I had to do in OBS, which I record the videos with, I had to deactivate that web camera there so I could use it in this video. If you have another application open that's using your webcam, you won't be able to get it to show up here. Most of you just working with this at home won't have that problem. But yeah, device 0 queues up your first webcam, device 1 queues up your second. If you just have one, you don't need to worry about it. It'll automatically be device 0, and that is the default that Pixvideo is looking for. So yeah, if you want to record stuff that you're doing, you can record it just fine, but make sure you're not using OBS with the web camera like active, or any screen recording system with it active. And when I say active, I mean literally in the list. It may not be queued up at the moment, and you may have it hidden even. You literally have to right click on it, go to its properties, and deactivate the webcam or delete it from your scenes as like an input device in order for Gem to be able to use it. Because if there's two applications trying to use it, it won't be available. So that's something that caught me out when I just started recording the series a few minutes ago and had to stop. Any case, the output from Pixvideo goes into Pix Movement. Now, what Pix Movement is this is an object that looks at the frames that are coming through Pixvideo. If your webcam is set to operate at like 30 frames per second or whatever, frame by frame, it's sending information to Pix Movement. And Pix Movement will look at those frames and look for changes in them. And changes in the frame means that there's something moving, and it tries to isolate what's moving. This can be calibrated here through the right inlet with an amount. We're going to come back to this. But basically, I set up a load bang to set the value 0.5 into this number box to go in here. But later, we're going to come back to this because you might want to change the value here to have it work more effectively for you. Okay, a lot of this, as you'll see in a minute, deals with lighting and things like that, and its ability to detect what is moving and what you want it to detect, ultimately. But let me just go through the rest of the patching here. Then that goes into pix_blob. And then there's a 4 here as a creation argument. The creation arguments here, you could have up to 3 numbers separated by spaces afterwards. It's saying what channel of color should it look at with priority. By putting just a 4 and not putting in any other numbers, it's basically saying give priority to the red channel. Because basically this can take information from Pix Movement, and what it does is it tries to find a location of what's being moved. And the 4 means try to analyze that with the red channel. Kind of like if you were to turn up the red channel and see like everything in red, you know, whatever you see on screen is like all red. It's examining that channel. This is something that was set in one of the Pd-L2Ork tutorials, and I stuck with it. I've tried different values in here, and to be honest with you, this has worked the best for me. So I'm trying to say what it is, but you know, that's basically what I found that works best. There's 2 other inlets here. I haven't used them. One of them is like a channel message where you can kind of send in the information for whether what channel to give priority to. But here there's also a mode command, and that is something that you can send in. It shows you in the list here what the different modes are. In the description here. And right now the default is 0, meaning grayscale, which kind of confuses matters a little bit, because that 4 is turned up. But it has worked out where somehow by having it in the mode of grayscale and not sending it or changing it here, basically what we're getting is something that's kind of reading grayscale but giving priority to the red channel. Just somehow that works, so that's I've been sticking with. And then here is the color weighting. That's what the creation argument is. So here, when you type pix_blob and then 4, that creation argument is referring to this. Even though this is the second inlet, it's referring to this. And that second inlet is I'm just looking at this real quick here. It's talking about the mode 0 gray default, 1 red, 2 green, 3 blue. Oh, wait a minute. I have to correct myself here. I think, the first creation argument is the mode, and we're saying, all right, look at the alpha channel. And then afterwards, you could put in more creation arguments about weighting a certain channel, either the RGB or alpha. And then you can kind of like say what the weight is going to be on those. But it says here, selecting will weight 1 and so forth. Okay, no, the creation arguments is the weighting, not the mode. So I was right to begin with, because it's showing here, it's talking about the creation arguments here. So no, it is your RGB channels. But we can play around with that as we calibrate this thing and see how it works out. So no, I was right to begin with, according to that document there. But sometimes these help files, can be a little misleading. But in any case here, pix_texture, what this does is it's taking the output, because even though these things are looking for movement and then sending like movement information to pix_blob, the actual image from your webcam or the video is coming through too. So it's going to be coming through down here to pix_texture, and here we're texturing it onto a rectangle. So what would normally appear as a white rectangle with dimensions 7 and 4. I did experimenting in 7 and 4 for our current size here for our view, which is up here. It's 640 by 360, which is half of 1280 by 720, an HD resolution. 7.4 fills up the whole viewable area. So this rectangle is the whole viewable area, and it's being textured with a webcam image. So let me just show the image right now. There we go. And that's me here in the dark, kind of. And now you see a little circle here. This circle is being created down here. Another gem head with priority 52. When you don't put a number after gem head for its priority, it's default 51. Now your priority numbers can go well below that and stuff, but the higher the number, that's what gets put on top. So by making this 52, this circle that's made down here at the bottom basically goes right on top of the camera. So that's why you're seeing the circle. If I didn't put 52 there, it wouldn't be on top. It might just end up being below the webcam image. So the video of me would be covering it up. So this is just to make sure this circle's on top. Here's the circle down here, and I made it size 0.5. Now, what the circle is being used as is really a pointer. It's being fed by Translate XYZ, which is taking numbers from blob that go through some math here and then gets used here to locate where the circle should be. So basically what blob's trying to do is send out information of X, Y, and Z coordinates for where the movement is taking place. And, if I move my head, you see the circle kind of like cueing into, for some reason, this side of my head. Then that side, whatever seems to be determining to be moving the most. Okay? And so these numbers are coming into here in these number boxes. But as you see, their ranges really are kind of like 0 to 1. Here's X. I'm going to try and use my hand to get this circle to go to it. And then go all the way here. Hold on, I need to zoom out. Go all the way here to the right. It's not quite going there. I am going to have to turn on the light here. That did work better for me before. There we go. Now I'm going to try to hold my body still. There, cued it on my hand. And now it's following my hand. And you see when I go all the way that way, the X values go down to about 0. Right? Or is it the opposite? And then when you go over to this way, it's going up to 1. So it's giving a value range of 0 to 1. And same thing with the Y, which is the number box just to the right of that. 0's here. And as I go up, it's going up to 1. Now, every now and then it can jump around. It'll just pick up on some other movement. And, a good thing might be, if you're going to do something like that, is to dress in something that's kind of like a solid color. And maybe have like a white glove on or something, so it really stands out as something that's moving. If I was, dressed in like dark clothing and maybe put a hood on my face so my hand stands out, it could follow the hand better. I mean, this takes experimentation to really refine it. But in any case, we're getting our X and Y coordinates. There's also Z coordinates coming out, but I'm not going to be using them in the Theremin because they're pretty erratic. Its ability to judge depth is not so great. So anyway, here, the numbers are coming through here, and let's just look at this path first. Here, because my rectangle and my entire viewable video image is 7 units by 3 units. Oh. You know what this is? This is probably the automated message that the power's come back on. Hold on. Okay, I apologize for that interruption, but that's good information to know. If I get through making this video on the generator, I can then, turn on the mains to upload to YouTube. This is going to be a crazy episode. All right, so anyway, I was explaining the math here, like why this is the way it is. So yeah, the rectangle we're projecting the camera's video on is 7 by 4. That's X and Y. X width and Y height. And remember, this is in units. It's kind of like a little weird concept in Gem. It's not in pixels or anything that would make sense like that. It's in units. So what I have here is the numbers coming out here that are in a range of 0 to 1. I'm basically multiplying them by 14 because this is units to the left and to the right. kind of like 0 being in the middle. It goes 7 left, 7 right. And so by multiplying it by 14, we're basically taking this range of 0 to 1 to 0 to 14. And then we're subtracting 7 from it. So we have negative 7 to the left and positive 7 to the right. So like here in the middle, it'll be like 0, negative 7 this way, positive 7 this way. So that way this circle can literally move left to right across the whole area. And then here, the range of 0 to 1 is coming in for y. Since y is 4 units, I'm basically multiplying it by negative 8 and then adding 4 to it. Now, the reason why it's multiplied by negative 8 is y in units in Gem is like positive towards the top and negative towards the bottom. And so in this case, I'm multiplying it by negative 8 so that, and then adding 4 to it so that basically we have negative 4 up here and positive 4 down here. Or wait a minute, it's the opposite. Yeah, because I'm multiplying by negative 8, it goes from 4 to 0 to negative 4. Okay. You know, and so that way I can, you know, it works out a little bit better. And basically converting what these numbers are here to the units that Translate actually uses. That's what the whole idea is. Now, so those then go into Translate. And Z, let's not even worry about that. I mean, that's going into Translate also, but I haven't really seen much in the way of depth movement. So, I don't know. It's there, but not really. So here we go. I put my hand out. It follows it to the left, to the right. But when you try doing this, you'll notice that actually the way you're moving, like, here, I'm moving my hand to the left, but it's inverted on the camera, so it's looking like it's going to the right. So once you get used to that, you're all right. So there we go. We can cover the whole range of the window is basically what happens. And then when I take my hand away, it likes to go to my head. All right, because I guess I'm slightly moving there. So anyway, then what we have here are cables to control an oscillator. The OSC tilde object is an oscillator that basically makes a sine wave. And we have that right down here. And so what I'm feeding it for frequency is the y-axis, up and down movement. Now, since for Translate, I had to invert it by multiplying by negative 8 and adding 4 to it. Basically, it's like going from 4 down to 0 down to negative 4 and stuff like that. So I had to do that for Translate. But for frequency, since this is a range of 0 to 1, I have it going into a swap 1. So it's really going to be an inversion of that. As it goes to 1, which is when you, like here, I'm moving my hand to the top. That's where it would be approaching 1. And then when I move my hand down, it goes closer to 0. Okay? So down is 0, up is 1, coming out a blob here. And so with swap 1, I'm inverting that so that down is 1 and up is 0. So swap 1 and both outlets connected to minus. We've been using this a lot. Anytime we need to invert 0 to 1 to 1 to 0, basically make it backwards. And so in that case, I wanted that so that when your hand goes down, it creates a lower frequency rather than a higher frequency. So this range of 0 to 1, I'm basically inverting it. When you're low in the vertical axis, it's lower frequency. And when you're up, it's higher frequency. But the range is still 0 to 1 until we get to here, where I multiply it by 3,465. Now, and then I add it to 55. What I'm doing here is, I was just thinking, you know, A440. Well, an octave above that is 880. An octave above that is 1,760. An octave above that is 3,520. But we want a floor. We don't want it to go all the way down to 0. You won't hear it. You don't even really want it going below like 30 or 20, really too much, depending on what speakers you're using. So I picked 55, which is another A. And so this really low A is the bottom. So by adding 55 and then taking here, subtracting 55 from 3,520, basically we change the 0 to 1 range to 55 up to 3,520. So that is like, how many octaves? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 octave range. It's all within the audible hearing spectrum, and, you know, it's going from A to A. All right, so that's what the frequencies end up being. Now here for the X, that's going to be left to right is controlling loudness or amplitude. That's already on a range of 0 to 1, which is our amplitude range. So I didn't need to do any math with it. But I did put it through a spigot object. A spigot object is something where you can run a cable through and out of, and this object will literally, like a spigot, allow you to turn it off or turn it on, to turn off or on the flow through it. Basically, the reason why I did this is I wanted to be able to turn the thing on or off. You know, we don't need to be hearing this while I'm talking and stuff, you know what I mean? So I have a toggle box here, which when you check it off, makes it a 1, sends out a 1. When you uncheck it, sends out a 0. So it goes into a select object that just has 0 here. So when you uncheck it and a 0 comes out, it sends a bang out here where it bangs this message 0 to close the spigot, because when you send a 0 to its right inlet, the spigot then closes, so numbers from this moving circle won't come through. So basically, they won't be messing with the amplitude. And this 0 message is also going to the right inlet of star tilde. So it's zeroing out our amplitude. In other words, we don't hear sound. So when this is unchecked, we don't hear sound. And this stuff over here, which is ever changing, doesn't interfere with that because it's closed off too. So we're using 0 in a double technique here to turn these off. Now, with the select object, whenever there's something that's not 0 comes through, it comes out the right outlet. And in the case of a toggle, that will always be a 1, because a toggle can only send a 1 or a 0. And so the 1 comes out here and turns on spigot. So when you check this off, spigot is then open. It allows amplitude through from the X coordinates to basically give you your loudness. So, as an end result, let's hear what this thing does. Now, it's not going to be perfect because this circle does jump around a bit. But now we're on. Oh. Is DSP on? Come on, I used this before making the video. It worked. Yes, the spigot should be open. So the X coordinates should be going to amplitude right here. I should be hearing things. Yeah, that circle's moving around enough. We should be hearing stuff. What the heck? Let me make sure that I'm just going to make this message box here temporarily Yeah, definitely spigot's open. So the numbers should be coming through to here. The oscillator is getting frequency, right? I was just using this before making the video. And now it's decided it's not going to work. Huh? That does not make any kind of sense. Let's just make sure, I mean, audio's on, right? Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm sure if you did this patching, you're probably hearing sound at home. I don't know why I am not. Let's make sure my audio output is the right thing. Let's test audio and MIDI. I don't hear anything, so no, it's not the patch. And then let's go here. It's always good to show this stuff because whenever you run into this trouble, this is what you gotta do. Test audio first, from the test audio MIDI option under media, and then go under edit and preferences and check. It is going through the Mo2 M series. And OBS is always able to. OBS is always able to share the audio drivers with it each week. So I'm going to pause the video and see what the problem is. Okay, I'm back, and I don't know what it was, but I opened this up in Purr Data, P-U-R-R Data. It's basically based on Pd-L2Ork. In fact, its maintainer, Jonathan Wilkes, was part of Pd-L2Ork, and then there was a fork where they went different directions. So this basically works. Hold on, it just did. I just did it. There we go. So, let me turn it off. Let me turn it off there. All right, so that is what Pd-L2Ork was supposed to do. I didn't change anything. I just opened it up in Purr Data. I don't know, something about Pd-L2Ork wasn't doing audio today. Well, it did earlier when I was making this. So anyway, I didn't change the patch at all. You know, it's one of those things. So anyway, so just to talk about this a little further, as you hear, it sounds a little jumpy in going pitch to pitch. One thing we could do to smooth that out a little bit, and we've used this before, is we can go in here where the frequency's coming through. You see how this is right up until oscillator. It's just pure numbers. And then an oscillate, trying to move you down. Okay. And an oscillator, of course, these numbers are jumping around a bit because it's locking into one thing and then another. And because we're multiplying it to make it a larger range, the jumps are pretty big. This might be better to, if it's going to jump like that, is to make it into the range of MIDI values, and that way you can at least get actual correct pitches. Right now it's in a range of like A55 up to A3520, but all the stuff in between are not going to be part of the equal tempered system. But let's see what happens when we do this. Pack F50 and then line tilde to smooth this out. What we will hear is less of the snaps. Like if you heard the snapping sounds, this would get rid of that. And actually, if we made this 50 even larger, let's like make it 200. You might actually hear bending of pitch from one value to another. So now let's turn this on and see what happens. So we're getting better results there with pitch, but not with amplitude. Let's look at our amplitude stuff coming in here. Right about here is where we're going to have to do it, because by using this line object, what we're doing is converting things to audio rate as well, because it's a line tilde object. So if you do pack F50 is fine for this, because we just want to smooth it out. We want to get rid of those little snaps, those artifacts. So we put this in here, and we could put the 0 in here again. So that way when it shuts off, you know, it's smooth in doing so. And this goes to the right inlet here. Yep, there we go. All right. Yeah, but then, yeah, I mean, one cool thing, actually, and this will be the last thing I add, but one cool thing that might be good to do, let's do this. We're going to do an object called key. Oh, I think it's key down. No. Key. Okay, yeah. There's key and key up. It registers whether a key has been pressed or lowered on the keyboard. Well, let me just double check the help file here. I want to find out what key a certain thing is. Like if I hit A, we get a 97. 100 for D. Okay. Let's say you're using your right hand to do this, and you have your left hand over the A, S, D, F keys. Let's say S is for stop. That's 115. Now what I could do is put that in as a creation argument, key 115, and make this Control 3. Oh no, Control 2. A 0. So when you hit the S key, it'll turn off sound. That way, when you're done using the thing, you don't have to have all this stuff. But now, maybe when you're about to start using it, you want to be able to see S. Here, let me turn it on. There, I hit S and it turned it off. Now A, let's find out what number A is. See, it's a number code for what ASCII character you're pressing. A is 97. Yeah, they're not always in an order that makes sense. So 97, key 97 is A. That way you can hit A to turn on the sound and hit S to stop it. Now let's just sit back here, try to be still, put my hand here. It's got the hand. Now I'm going to hit A. And it didn't do shit. All right, let's see here. Sorry about that. Let's see, key 97, hitting 1. Must not be a 97. Let me see here, help. A. It says 97 right here. Did I type in? Yeah, I typed in 97. Yeah, let's just do this. Put a number box here. A. That is the number 97. Yeah, S is working fine here. So the way I set this up, key 115 is right. Now let's do this. Oh, I know what I should do for both of these, really. That one worked, but select 97. And that will hit 1. So you hit A, it starts. Because we need to send a bang to this. What was happening here is, fortunately, it was just working, but it was just a stroke of luck, because really what you want is something that's a select object that says, okay, key 115 is coming out. It looks like this, when you put these default arguments in, I have to look up what the creation arguments are for. So actually, we can make this, here, let's just make this smoother. Come on. Just a key object. Select 97115. So the left outlet when 97, which is the A, is hit, it hits there. When 115 comes out of the key object, then it hits 0. There we go. And so A. I wasn't ready yet. S to stop. Okay. So now I can sit here. I'm ready to go. And then I hit A. Okay, now we're going to actually, try one last thing. and see if this works better than what I have here. I am going to make this in a range of MIDI values. But what I'm going to do for the time being is just kind of cut this out and move it to the side, because we might go back to this. This did work, but I think we could do better. We're going to multiply. MIDI is 0 to 127, but I'd like to use maybe 12 up to 120. So we're going to multiply it by 120 minus 12, which is 108, and then add 12 to that. So now we're going to have a range of 12 to 120. Because some of those pitches below 12 are too low to be useful. Up, dap, 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 bop, 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 bop. These are MIDI notes, so we need to convert them into frequency values. Here, I'm just going to create a little more room here. And you do that quite simply with an object M2F. Can we move this up just a little bit? It's looking a little bit packed here. Come on. Or maybe I can move you guys down a little bit. We're getting cramped in here. And yeah, I am going to end it here. So I could give that generator a break. Hopefully it doesn't cut out before I finish this video. Okay. All right. Now I hit A. Then hit S when I want to stop, and you don't have to hear it anymore. All righty, cool beans. I am going to close this. I save this, and I am going to take a screenshot of this puppy. Not like that. And yeah, the series on Pd-L2Ork. But I had to end the episode with Purr Data. Yeah, I mean, in the future, I'm going to be working with Purr Data. Of course, PD Vanilla, Pd-L2Ork, all that stuff. Hey, look, this is something that Pd-L2Ork puts into things that you don't normally see. It puts a little object up there. Purr Data shows it. But it can use it because it's made, you know, it's based on Pd-L2Ork. They just kind of went their separate ways, but it has the data structures and all that stuff involved. The only reason why I didn't use Purr Data for this is because I teach classes, and in the help browser, I'll just show you this just for information's sake. In the help browser here, when I was looking at Gem, which is what we're using right now, if we scroll down to where in the help browser it talks about Gem. Come on, you're here. Come on, Gem. Here we are. Windows and Linux only. Now, I have students that have been using Pd-L2Ork this quarter and have been using Gem just fine. Pd-L2Ork doesn't have that message there. So that's why I've been using Pd-L2Ork. I don't know why Purr Data, it says that, you know, Gem's only for, I don't know, maybe you can install Purr Data on Mac and then install the external for Gem if you know how to do that, and it'll work for you fine. I don't know. But I didn't like that sitting there. I'm like, uh-oh, the Mac students won't be able to use this. So that's why I didn't use this. But it has the Pd-L2Ork data structures And of course, it has Gem, at least for Windows and Linux. And all the other externals that Pd-L2Ork does, except for it doesn't have the K through 12 stuff. So I don't know. I'd really like to use Purr Data in the future, and maybe I will. And this asks some of the people that are using Mac, if they want to work with Gem, use that. I've also been able to add the Gem external to Pure Data Vanilla, and it works fine for me. So I don't know. I'm going to keep exploring these things and see what happens. But anyway, thank you for joining me this week, and you take care. Don't get hit by any hurricanes, man. All right. Stay free.